check that angle out. Warning, the following contains actions performed by idiots. What you're about to view should not be taken as factual or educational. For further questions, please refer to your Google. What is up, guys? So in this video, the first thing I have planned is basically trying to get the metal I already have on the bug straightened out. What a lot of you, not a lot, but enough to mention, what you guys did mention is why I'm not putting the second roof panel underneath this roof. And most of that reason, which I'll show you here in a minute, is just because the way I have everything like set up and done, it's not technically how I'm supposed to do it. So it puts some weird tension on the roof. The bug body's not perfect, and there's some quirks here and there are some points from me lining up the metal that didn't agree with the roof line. Long story short, that second roof is kind of going to be our saving grace, and it's going to hide the the current roof lines that does not look good. So let me flip cameras and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So because I'm not a professional, when I was doing these, my focus was to just line, just get the two lines to line up, blah, blah, blah. Same up here, back there. So amongst doing that, and between hammering the sides of the bug in various places to make it skinnier on the MR2 instead of cutting that out probably like I should have, the bug's not sitting perfect. So when I line these up, it puts some weird tensions on the roof, as you can see there. So I think cutting this side off and working it a little bit and paying attention to the roof, I think a lot of the tension is just between this and that back piece. So I'm gonna try and work that out, but I'm fairly confident that this roof line is never going to be perfect. So the nice thing about putting that roof on here is that will keep its shape, and the shape over here is good. It's just here in the middle, it's kind of wonky. So I'm gonna try and get this as best I can before we put that on, just so there's over here is less likely to be screwed up. But yeah, that's why I don't really want to put it underneath, because it's going to be really hard to get that perfect. But if I can just put that on like a turtle shell and basically hide this imperfection, then I think we'll just be better off in the long run. So with that being said, let me show you what I got. So I took your guys' advice and went and bought stuff you told me to buy, and stuff I'm going to use that I already had here. A hammer and dolly set. Ta-da! Magnets to help hold the metal together when welding. Compressed air to cool the welds. Wet rag to keep the heat from spreading. So I'm guessing, not this soaking wet obviously, but guessing kind of like put this around the area I'm welding, and then that should kind of create a wall basically to keep the heat from my welds inside the little circle of moist towelette. So what I think I'm going to try and do first is I did watch some tutorial videos on basically how to use the hammer dolly set and kind of what its purpose is. So I'm going to kind of play with that a little bit and see how good I can get the metal without cutting it off. And then if there are some spots that just aren't working with me, then I'm going to try to cut it off and then weld ridiculously slow, like weld the tack, cool it off, wait 5 minutes, weld the tack, cool it off, wait 5 minutes. Just really take my time and see if that will fix the, if you didn't watch the last video, I'm talking about right here basically. I watched the time lapse of this, and as this cooled, it brought this side down. I think this piece is kind of thick, so I think it might be a little hard to hammer and dolly that. This down here is flat underneath, so it'd be nice to hit on. But this is curved under here, so I don't know how well I can hit that. So I'm gonna probably cut this off and then put this piece 2x4 under it and get it flat, and then just tack ridiculously slowly and see if I can prevent what has happened there. So I'm gonna mess around with that. Same thing on the back side. If you didn't watch the last video, this part right here is actually pretty good. It just comes up a little bit in the center here, but it lines up relatively good on the sides. This up here is pretty good as well. It does cave in just a little bit, but as long as I can get the overall curve of that to be okay, I should be all right. That side definitely dips in worse than over here is pretty decent. but this definitely dips where the two meet. So I'm gonna mess with that. Like I said, this is pretty good. Do the front, see what happens, and we'll go from there. So if you can't tell, I'm having a really hard time with this front roof piece, trying to get the curves of the roof to match up with each other, and trying to get this piece to match up is not agreeing with each other. So what I have here is a ratchet strap from here to that back middle piece, and that got the arches of the roof closer. They're still not perfect, but as this went up, this side went down. So there's definitely something off kilter. So like as this side shrinks, that side stretches. So this is about where it needs to be. So I'm not sure where on the body is causing that tension. But I mean, you saw, okay, so back in the other videos when we were just, the two halves were sitting on the MR2, you could see, I think it was this side. One side was always sitting lower than the other. It was always drooping lower than the other. So I think it has something to do with how, which really sucks, but there's nothing I can do about it now. Something about me hammering that bottom line in. I think just the bug not sitting flat is making this more difficult than it should be. So basically I have to make this what it should have been. If that was, I don't know, my head's all over the place. So basically all I'm trying to do is just get this. So it was pretty decent, but it looked, and you can, obviously you could really see it now, but when it was welded together, it had a slight, it wasn't that aggressive, but it had a slight slant going down like that. And I thought, oh, I'll just hammer it and reshape it. And that wasn't really working. I definitely hit it, and I got this front piece to arc up a little more, but I couldn't get, you know, I mean, the angle was completely off. So that's what I'm fighting with. So sorry if this part is relatively boring, because this is really being a pain in the ass. But so that's where I'm at. That's what I'm fighting with. I think I hammered this back piece on the time lapse a little bit. This is, I mean, back here is pretty dang good. So I hammered this as well, and kind of flattened this out a little bit to make this curve less obnoxious. So like right here, I think it's a little low, so I need to pop the center out. But I mean, overall, this is actually pretty darn good. I haven't really revisited this yet. Can't. That side is still pretty dang good. That side needs a little bit of work, but there's definitely something going on up here. So I'm gonna try and figure this out, and then we'll move on to the rest of it. That's sitting pretty decent. So if I can figure this out, and then what I'm probably gonna have to do, because there's not like a ton of tension, like I can move it and they're stiff because they're touching right now, but there's enough tension just to make it weird. So once I have this tacked in place, and I have, like, say I have this wood under here and I have it all at the right angles and everything, and I tack it, I'm probably gonna run some of that metal across the roof, like across this roof line temporarily until I brace this completely, and then I'll probably actually do a brace like that across the whole thing, but it'll be permanent and I'll do it a little nicer. But I think, I don't know, I'm gonna keep working, we'll see what happens. I have some interesting news, and I was gonna call the video to put up yesterday to get your guys' opinions, but I didn't have time to put it up, so now I'm just gonna keep working because I've thought about it. So amongst putting this up and down 20 times, cutting this on and off 3 times, tack welding it, trying to maneuver it, blah 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 blah, this tack broke when I was tapping it with the hammer, and I was like, oh no. And then I looked at it, and a big problem I was having was this nice little arc gap right here was non-existent over here until this broke. And now if you look at it, that curve is pretty, I mean, it follows basically the entirety of it with the gap there. So what I'm thinking now, and I'm not sure, like I said, guys, I don't know what I'm doing, but I got the roof lines to be similar. They're still a little off, but if the roof stays like this, that gap, like, if the roof stays like this needs to stay like this, and I need to fill that gap. The only thing that's slightly off is the height of this, which I think is a mixture of me hammering it from underneath. So I'll tap that down a little bit and line it up a little. But I'm gonna go grab another spare piece of this section from the other bug and stick it right there, because from all angles that I'm looking at, and ignore the height, but from all the angles I'm looking at it, it looks like that line is pretty dang good. If you just imagine that gap isn't there, I mean, it lines up pretty well, other than the height. So I'm gonna go look through the other scrap pieces I have, and I think, so I don't really, like I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not trying to act like I know what I'm doing, but what I'm thinking is if I just focus kind of on one thing at a time and try to get the overall look of it to be better, I think the roof line of this thing is kind of getting butchered, which is okay because we're changing that. So I think I'm just gonna try and line up these parts as best I can, and then once everything is done, we'll take a look at the roof, see what it looks like, and then basically make it work, make it happen from there. Because right now from back here, the roof is looking pretty flat. Yeah, see how it's relatively flat back here, and that side is still up higher. But so I think if we just get everything lined up and everything to look good, we'll just make the roof work, since we kind of don't know what we're doing there anyway. So that's the plan. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna keep working. We'll see what we can get done today. Guys, this is really hard work. And I'm making headway, I could see it, but that was, I don't know what that amounted to in time lapse, but that was like, I mean, 3 hours of the same exact thing over and over again, and it's definitely getting better, and I'm seeing it's actually relatively close. But yeah, this is definitely I knew it was hard, but I definitely have an actual respect for guys that do this for a living or have pulled this off already. So again, not done, don't judge, whatever. I would take my sander, and I have 40 grit on there right now, and I kind of went over this so you could see all the low spots throughout, and I was really using that here. So right here, it's kind of low, and that's from the metal shrinking. And what happened too, I had to put 3 slivers behind here, because from the first time, and then the second time, and then the third and the fourth, and blah, blah, blah. From grinding this down, I made the original metal super, super thin, like paper thin. So I had to put some filler pieces behind here, and then basically welded through this metal to that one. So now right here, it's pretty thick, and I've got a little more room to grind on. Didn't have to do that over here yet, because that side's pretty good. So, and I don't know if you're supposed to do this, but I was basically where I had those little holes and stuff. I was basically, and then right here was a little low, so I basically filled this in with weld very slowly, almost like a metal bondo. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to do it, but that's what I freaking did. So I still got some work to do there. Just for the sake of you guys seeing something, let's explore some roof ideas. Real quick, I want to say thank you, because I haven't used the magnets yet, and those are actually really weak, but whatever. The compressed air and the towel definitely seemed to help. When I did get it, I still got some parts too hot, and when I did, I noticed it shrink, and now I know what that is, so that's cool. But the rag definitely seemed to help keep the heat in, and then the compressed air definitely cooled it before it like warped more, so it definitely helped the heat stay in. So want to say thank you for that. So let's see here. So back here, okay, I don't know if I already said this. The reason why I want to put this on top is because the roof underneath here, as you've seen this entire video, it's not perfect, and it's not going to be perfect. The amount of work I've done on the front is ridiculous. It's still not perfect, and the roof is still not perfect, but the front is getting closer, so screw the roof. We're gonna do this somehow. One idea that a friend had, actually, as you can see these finger lines on here, talked about maybe like just kind of making it flow and like doing like a triangulated kind of thing and tapering it off and kind of making it look kind of like, you know, we wanted to do it that way or something. But so back here, the outside here lines up pretty well. This inside part is definitely drooped down, so we'll have to hammer that up and figure out what's going on there. But other than that, I mean, the sides are definitely lined up pretty good, which was a small issue before. So getting the 2 sides worked out a little better definitely helped with that, because now these are, I mean, they're sitting pretty flat. Up here, there is a little bit of a gap, which you could probably get away with. Maybe bringing this in just a little bit and getting rid of that little corner where that curve is a little harder, and get rid of that, and that'll probably help it sit flatter. So this is lined up on the back basically, so I do have to bring this up and make it merge there. So I'm not really sure what's gonna happen there, but so I'm gonna end the video here. I think that's enough of you guys watching me do that, so I apologize. Let me know. I'm figuring this out with your guys' help. This is definitely coming along. I mean, and then I did this so it would keep the shape when I took that off, and then, you know, cut those off later, because I want to put, I think this is going to have some sort of tension on it, so I kind of want to put this up inside, but I couldn't hammer it if I did that, so this was a temporary substitute for that. Judge what you will. But so if you guys have more suggestions on what I'm doing there, cool. If I'm using that incorrectly, let me know, but it seems to be doing what I want it to. So if you guys have ideas, a lot of you guys want me to do a roof scoop still. I'm contemplating it. It might be kind of cool since this is already down, maybe just have this stick up a bit and then push these down or something. I don't know. I'll leave that up to you guys. Want to hear your thoughts. But definitely huge thank you for that. The wet rag, the air compressor, or compressed air, that all actually helped quite a bit. So we're getting closer. Back here looks pretty dang good. I'm trying to get you to see what I see. I mean, it's starting to follow the curve pretty well. So I mean, I thought that was going to be the biggest pain in the butt, and that actually is working with me the best. So yeah, definitely need to pull this up, tap that up in there. Yeah, okay, I'm done talking. So I'm saying this outro before I watch the video, so I don't know how boring that just was to watch, but I apologize. I'm gonna put it up. Some of you guys like just the raw over and over and over. And if it's boring, let me know. And then if I have to work on something like that for 4 hours straight, time lapse or not, I'll show you like the beginning and the end, and I'll cut all the middle out. But yeah, hang on. Check that angle out. That doesn't look, okay, this is bent, so that's actually kind of throwing it off. But if you just look at the roof line, that's not too shabby. Let's see if we can get a better, that really sucks that bar's bent because that throws it off, but try to just focus on the Bug roof. That doesn't look too bad. That's pretty decent. I don't know if it droops down. We're getting really close on that, guys. And then this is, I think everything else is gonna be a cakewalk compared to that. So if we can get that down, we're good. Yeah, okay, cool. So like I said, if that was too much of one thing, let me know. I'm just filming and putting it up. So if you guys, like if that was too much, I'll film the beginning and then the end and we'll work through that. But let me know what you think about what I did, about the roof. Let me know if I'm using the tools, the hammer and dolly right. And as of now, I have no jobs this next week. So I'll probably get some time at the family business just to help make rent and all that jazz. But I should have a ton of time to work on this. So I'll put this up tonight. Let me know what you think. Tomorrow's Father's Day, so it won't be here. But then the whole week, I should be able to work on this. So thanks for watching, guys. I read all the comments like I always say. I don't know what I'm doing like I usually say. So let me know what you think. And we'll see you next time.